we live in really interesting times because the world is conspiring for startups to succeed. And one of the biggest proofs for that is Leicester City winning the EPL. They had 5,000 to 1 odds when they started. Pretty much like us, right? All startups start up with odds stacked significantly against us. And one of the things that we try and do on an everyday basis is improve the odds, improve our chances of success. And why I say that the world is conspiring for us to succeed is that you had a session from Facebook, you had a session from Google, and none of that costs money. So digital allows us to do things that, 5, 10 years back, you needed a lot of money to do. How many of you were here for Neeraj's session? Okay, I wish more people would have attended it because it's absolutely fantastic. And I think that there are 2 big lessons to learn for all of us. One, if you're the founder, then you are the chief product officer and you are the chief marketing officer. Because the way you are as an individual will reflect in everything that you do, will reflect in how you treat the customer, and will reflect in every behavior that the organization follows. The second one, which is extremely important for us as startups, is that marketing is not advertising. Even if you look at the most conventional book on marketing, it says marketing is 4 Ps, there is promotion, one of those tabs is advertising. It starts with the product. And when Vani introduced Neeraj and when he spoke about the product, he came to advertising, but his obsession about the product was something that really, really mattered, right? So keep those 2 golden rules, and I'm going to take you through some of the things which, in my experience, improves our odds of winning the battle against the big guys. Because one of the things that large companies don't have and startups have is that we are obsessed about solving a consumer problem. And the person thinking about it is a person at the realm who can make and influence decisions. Yeah? So, the first rule is that, as a startup, don't think about better. There is no way Neeraj could have made a better Coca-Cola. It's not a battle you want to fight. You have to do something different. And it's not about just a product being different or an ad being different. It is that the DNA of a marketer has to be different. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you the Neeraj example and then I'll give you the Uber example. In the Neeraj example, this is not Coke. This is not packed like Coke. This is not sold like Coke. This is not sold like Pepsi, any of those brands. It is paperboard. It doesn't fight for IPL sponsorship. It comes out with ads that are not 3 seconds, not 10 seconds, not 30 seconds, not 60 seconds. And they do that on a consistent basis. So one of the things that you should not worry about is the big guys. Don't try and get better than them, be different. The second piece is, I'll give you the Uber example. Everybody obviously knows the app and they know that, it's a differentiated customer experience. They launched in Delhi. I've just moved to Bangalore. I'm from Delhi. And they did a very interesting thing. I've heard that they did in other cities as well. The first 3 cabs were Mercs. And they gave Delhi guys or girls a chance to ride a Merc for about 25 rupees and go to a party. Very different. And that's, now over here, it's not the trick. It's not the giving the Merc to someone. It's just the ability to think different. It's the ability of not coming up with a 30-second ad. It's the ability of not coming up and saying that I need the largest sponsorship. It is that what is it that I can do different which is relevant to me. So really the first most important thing for all of us to improve our odds is to think different and not think better. We cannot win thinking better. The second one, this is something that I worked on myself, but again I'll use Neeraj's example since some of you were here. We have very limited chances to make an impression on our customers because we are small, we're startups. We get 1 chance, we get 2 chances, we can't keep doing it again and again. And what is really important is to give them a very, very differentiated customer experience. If a customer uses one of our products and he uses a product that already exists and they can't tell the difference, then we haven't done our job because then it's going to be more money, you'll have to scream a lot louder. The experience is to be completely different. So in Neeraj's case, when you have one of his products and he spoke about getting the 95% for a certain percentage of his audience rather than 60% for a large percentage of the audience. That's the startup mentality. Some people have to really, really love you. And they will really, really love you if you're able to create one really wow experience for them. The brand that I was talking about was Saffola Masala Oats. When we launched it, all the oats came in white, boring, milk-based formats. Something that people didn't find appetizing, and we launched something which was Masala Oats format. The packaging was different, the pricing was different, the way you ate it was different. You couldn't compare the current market leader with this. And in 2 years, we've become the market leader. Just simply because you created a different experience. Similarly with Neeraj. So the first two parts is when you're looking at your marketing plan, the first thing is to develop a product that is different. And the second is to create an experience that consumers will remember you by. The second piece that's really, really important is let customers select you. How many of you like the advertising that Neeraj showed? How many of you are likely to pick up a paperboard next time you see it? So advertising, well, my view is not about tricking the customer. Customers galvanize towards a brand and they advocate those brands if they appeal to them. And it's really, really important for your offering to self-select the audience. So let me give you the Urban Ladder example. 3 years back, who do you think would have bought furniture online? Who would be that set? It's a self-selecting audience. Very few people are comfortable buying furniture online, and that's a great advantage. When you're starting out, you don't want all of the audience because they'll come with completely different ways and means of evaluating you. If you're able to self-select your audience, what happens is you're able to create a consumer experience that they value, a consumer experience that they share. So in the audience that we launched to, we were very clear who are the guys who are going to buy furniture online. It's very easy to write a customer profile for that. It's very easy to say what matters to them versus what doesn't matter to them. And then you're able to create a customer experience that completely wows them. And that for all of us is really important because when you're looking at creating a new product or you're starting to launch your first product, it's very important to figure out who are the 99 people you will say no to as customers and who's the one person you want to sell to. And completely design that because when you're starting up, that's really, really important. The first set of your consumers have to love you and they have to spread the word for you. One of the things that I think is missed as a marketing input across many startups and even large companies is that everybody focuses on who they should sell to and why customers buy you. One of the biggest things for us as startups, for us as people who are just 2 or 3 years as companies is when do they buy you? So what happens is that if you ask a customer, which is your favorite drink, which is your favorite brand, 99% of people are going to say the large brands. Because at that point, their memory structure is hooked to some memory which really doesn't kind of cater to what they're looking to buy. But if you are at a point where you're looking to reconsider, that is a moment when we can get in and completely change the experience. I'll give you a Dettol example and then I'll give you a very different example which just happened to me a few days back. So Dettol spends a small portion, about 5 to 10% of their advertising spends, when a baby is born. So they go to the mother, and they say that this is the Dettol package that takes care of all hygiene in your house because hygiene is going to be important for you. They're not doing it normally. They don't go and do any other activation program because they believe at that point of time the mother is extremely sensitive on the hygiene of the baby. And that's the point that they acquire the customer. It's a really cheap way of doing that. Now, in terms of, so something that just happened, we have a 1-year-old baby, and when we were doing the diaper search, we bought whatever diaper, and not many of you are that old, but when you have a baby has a rash. It always happens. And if you search on Google, and you can do it right now, if you do a nappy rash or a diaper rash, there's no diaper selling over there saying that get free from rashes. If I'm a startup doing diapers and I have to fight Pampers, you have to figure out what is the point of market entry at which I have a chance of competing. I can keep fighting for diapers and keep paying money for search. I may not win that battle. So it's very, very important for us to know when our customer is going to be in the market. When is that moment when they're looking to evaluate, and then what is important for them? So why is really important, who is really important, but for us as startups, when is extremely important. If you're able to get that right, then just the pitch to the customer changes completely. So this is fantastic. I think Neeraj completely, kind of tailored it. I don't even have to go to Apple because everybody uses that example. How many times did you see him change the proposition or launch something other than paperboard, other than a drink which was from memories? In his entire conversation, his piece was that, we are here to protect recipes that existed from years, and I'm going to do everything to protect that, and I'm going to keep launching stuff that does just that. What happens is that when we launch anything new, the first person we go and speak to are people who don't buy us, or people who, say no to us. And what happens is they say that only if you had A, B, C, D, we would definitely stalk you. So when Neeraj would have gone to retailers, they would have told him that, ye bikta nahi hai juice, aisa type ka. If you have a Coke or if you have a fizzy drink or if you have water, that sells a lot. And it would be a great temptation to launch that so that he can enter that in, right? It's very important as a startup, as someone who's just 2-3 years in the business, to go to customers who buy you. It doesn't matter who doesn't buy you. Because the people who buy you have resolved why you are better than anybody else. The people who bought you have resolved why you're different from everybody else. And if you're able to bring that DNA and that reason into your organization and seep it into everybody that this is most important to us. So when he says alive and authentic, that's the founder, right? Did you find Neeraj alive and authentic? It's easy for him. And similarly, it's easy for you guys because you guys are starting out. You guys are setting up the DNA of an organization. I work for Urban Ladder, and I'm telling you, when we talk about design and trust, if you meet Ashish and Rajiv, you'll get that. Just as individuals, they're that, and that's why they've picked those values. That's why it's easy for them to do what they're doing. And hence, it's really, really important for us to resist the temptation of everybody who doesn't want to buy us. They'll come around. First, get some people to really, really love you, unify everything that you do, and try and build on what you have. Because as a startup, we just don't have money to do everything else. So your ability to say no to a lot of things which are peripheral is important. At the same time, your ability to say yes to everything that you need to do to make alive happen or authentic happen is important. Whether it means getting 5,000 people to turn the mangoes, whether it means going to 4 different places to get the recipes. So don't say no to the wrong thing, but definitely say no to a lot of things. One of the things that's very important for us is that, for generations, word of mouth has been the largest source of marketing. Ever since I started, every customer I went to, despite all the TV advertising, and I've done a lot of that, why did you buy this? My friend told me it's really good. I said, have you seen my TV ad? It was there yesterday. No, I haven't. Why did you buy this? My friend told me. So one of the inherent things is that people like to share. Now, if you look at digital, and if you look at the ease in which people can share, if you can see the scale in which people can share. First, it was I could tell 3 people who met me on a daily basis. Today, I can tell 500 people. I can tell 1,000 people. So as a brand, when you're looking to create something, it's very, very important to create something that's sticky. Something that people will like. Something that people will say, hey, this is something that's really good and I want to talk about it. Again, I'm not talking about the gimmicky stuff. I'm not talking about the 3-second, 10-second, 20-second, 50-second, 3-minute ads. That's not important. It's the experience around the core product. It's the experience around what really matters for you. And if you're able to build that really well and have almost an inbuilt mechanism of loyalty and referral. One of the greatest examples is Facebook. How many of you have 0 friends on Facebook? How many of you would be on Facebook if you had 0 friends? It just doesn't exist as a concept, right? So why does it exist for us as brands? Why don't we think of our product or our startup and say that why should it exist in isolation? Why should I not create an experience? If I have to channelize it in the first place, that's fine. How many of you use the Uber referral program? All of us, right? So what you need to do is, if you've built a really great consumer experience, it's very, very important for us to build mechanisms for customers to share that. Customers inherently like to share. Digital allows us to share. So just focus on creating wow experiences for customers. The last bit is, you're always marketing. Marketing is not something one person does, two people do. The second you've thought about, okay, I want to change a little thing on the website, that's marketing because it impacts the customer experience. But the point that I want to say is, as founders, you're a reflection of your brand. So when you saw Neeraj today, he was marketing to you. It wasn't just a talk. He spoke about alive. He spoke about authentic. If he didn't come across as authentic, Paperboat would not be authentic. If he wouldn't come across as alive, it wouldn't be alive. Taking the example of Roger Federer, what's his persona as a tennis player? He's just a lovable guy, right? He's a fantastic tennis player, but you just love Roger. You love the fact that he has a wife, he has 2 twins, they're cheering for them all the time. So even when he's caught off guard, he's picking up some shopping bags, he's waving and he's smiling and he's nice. Similarly, as founders and as startups, we are always on when we are marketing. We cannot be something, and that's why when you're creating a proposition, when you're creating a startup, it has to reflect you. If it doesn't, you can't put up the act. So try and focus on that and try and do that. I'll end by saying that the world is craving for romantic stories. They are pushing for it, and the world is going to conspire for all of you to succeed. Just hang in there and all the best.